when people take a position in public,
Yeah.
that affects how tightly they cling to it, right?
Yeah. It makes sense because so it depends on the communities you're in and all that, but so on the whole, people will see you as being smarter and more rational if you have true beliefs. But there's always a small cost to be paid when you have to change your mind. It's better to be right all along than to be wrong and then right. It's better to be wrong and then right than to be wrong all along. But the best is still to not have to change your mind so there's always a small cost to pay in terms of reputation when you have to change your mind to accept something else. And so indeed, as you were saying, when you have committed yourself in front of many, many people, then there's a larger cost to pay if you have to change your mind. And I think one of the issues as well is that there's a kind of an informational asymmetry. So if you take public figures like politicians, you might imagine that maybe in many cases, I would say, being extremely optimistic, that they would have maybe appreciated evidence that might have led them to change their mind. But they know that their constituents do not have this evidence and that they might maybe not be able to understand it or to access it or to pay attention to it. And therefore, it would be rational for them to change their mind, but they realize that other people would not understand that it is rational for them to change their mind, and therefore they have to stick to their beliefs because they would just being seen as flip-floppers. I mean, if all of their constituents knew why this person would be changing their mind, maybe they'd be fine with it. But that is very rarely the case. I mean, the most visible people usually are, we pay attention to them because they are supposed to have more information, to pay more attention to the issues. And then if you see them changing their mind, you can't necessarily understand why, and then you have a problem on your hands.
Mm-hmm. And of course, with most issues, most people who have an opinion don't have time or the expertise to really have the opinion be deeply informed. Like take something like climate change. People on both sides are actually taking their signals from elites they respect.
Yeah, as they should.
And so if the elites are reluctant to change their mind, then because they're elites and they've taken positions publicly, and everyone else is taking their signals from the elites, I think we've come to another case where I think I'm a little less optimistic than you generally are about these things.
Yeah, but I mean, even climate change, I mean, it's so, things aren't going as well as they should be, but I mean, in a way, you still see many, many people who are unlikely to be, severely impacted by climate change, who are, taking action, who are supporting policies that will. Obviously, I can see how it's not as good as it should be, and people should be acting more, blah blah blah, and I completely agree with that. But what we're seeing is still, in many ways, completely amazing. That we have, many, many countries are agreeing on things that are clearly, to a large extent, against their economic interests. And it's also, there is something quite impressive with it, I think, with the way we're handling the situation. I mean, things could be much worse.
Yeah, although I should say, when I said people on both sides are taking their signals from elites, I include myself. I mean, I assume that the liberal side of this is right. But the truth is, the only thing I'm reasonably sure of is that the world is getting warmer. I haven't looked closely at the arguments that there could be these alternative explanations. I haven't done that work. I'm accepting, So I didn't mean to be, accusing one side or the other of anything in that.
No, cognitively, I think both sides. I mean, the vast majority of people on both sides are using the same kind of processes,
right.
In terms of referring to different elites. It just so happens that in one case, one side happens to be referring to the good sort of elites. I mean, the scientific consensus.
Yeah.
But that's how that happened. I mean, on other issues, you can imagine that liberals might be being on the wrong end of the